How did India, a nation that once commanded 30% of the world's wealth, collapse to just 3% by 1947? At independence, India was drained, broken, and written off as another poor nation. But history has a strange way of repeating itself. Today, India has risen back to nearly 8% of global GDP. And here's the twist. That number isn't just climbing, it's accelerating. Many experts say it will take decades for India to reclaim its place among the world's top powers. But what if they're wrong? Because right now, behind the headlines, India is preparing three powerful moves that could shake the global order forever. These aren't minor policies or symbolic projects. They're long-term strategies designed to ensure India is never again dominated by outsiders. So the real question is this: what are these three hidden strategies, and how could they rewrite not only the future of India, but the future of the world? To understand India's rise, we first need to understand its fall. Why was India so rich in the 18th century, and why did it fall under British control? At first glance, you might think the answer is simple. India was wealthy, and wealth attracts invaders. But that's not the whole story. India's strength came from trade. For centuries, it was the beating heart of global commerce, connected by vast land routes and, even more importantly, by the sea. Indian textiles, spices, and jewels were in demand across the world, and the Indian Ocean made it all possible. Trade with India wasn't just profitable, it was safe. This security turned the subcontinent into the hub of global wealth. But look at the Indian Ocean today. The United States and Britain roam its waters like it's their own backyard. Their massive base at Diego Garcia is loaded with bombers and fighter jets powerful enough to devastate entire nations. To them, sailing into the Indian Ocean is as casual as visiting grandma's house for cookies. Why do they spend billions to dominate these waters? They claim it's about China and Iran, but the truth lies in the numbers. Over 80% of the world's maritime oil shipments pass through the Indian Ocean's choke points, the Strait of Malacca, the Strait of Hormuz, and Bab el-Mandeb. Beneath its waves lie immense reserves of nickel, cobalt, iron, copper, gold, titanium, oil, and natural gas. Most of it remains untapped. By 2017, Indian Ocean economies produced 35% of global iron, 18% of gold, 70% of oil, and 28% of natural gas. This means one thing: the powers of the world will never leave India in peace. And India knows it. That's why New Delhi is building massive overseas bases of its own. One example is the remote Agalega Island in Mauritius, now home to a 3,000-meter runway capable of hosting the largest aircraft, plus a port ready for aircraft carriers, a base that could rival Diego Garcia itself. But here's the twist. India is doing something the United States never considered, something that could change the balance of power in these waters, and that's what we'll uncover next. History shows us a clear pattern. Superpowers often act like bullies. Take the United States, for example. If you want to trade with them, you don't just trade, you obey. You put their profit above your own, follow their orders, and in many cases, sacrifice your sovereignty. It's a system that turns partners into dependents. But here's the truth. Human dignity cannot be bought. Not every nation is willing to trade its honor for money, and this is exactly where India steps onto the stage. Unlike the US, India doesn't force countries to abandon their culture, their beliefs, or their independence. When nations trade with India, there are no humiliating conditions, no political strings attached. This is why countries across the world, from Russia and the Persian Gulf states to Africa, Europe, and even China, are deepening their economic ties with New Delhi. And the numbers prove it. Every year, India's trade network grows larger, stronger, and more diverse. Now you understand why President Donald Trump imposed heavy tariffs on India. It wasn't just about Russian oil, it was about something far more threatening to Washington: The United States was losing the global trade war to both China and India, and there was nothing Trump or any American leader could do to stop it. But trade is only one side of the story. With these strong relationships come strategic opportunities. Several African nations are now on the verge of granting India access to ports and even military bases. That means Indian warships and aircraft could soon project power deep into the Indian Ocean, not just from its mainland, but from multiple forward positions. Step by step, India is weaving a net of influence across the region. And this matters for more than just defense. Every new port, every new drill, every new partnership creates a snowball effect. Once a nation trusts India with its economy, it often opens doors to security cooperation as well. That's why India is no longer seen as just a market. It's emerging as a partner that balances fairness with strength. So yes, Trump may have lost money and influence to India, but the real question is far bigger. What happens when India finally gains the upper hand in the Indian Ocean and America can no longer call the shots? You've probably noticed India holding joint military drills with dozens of nations. But have you ever asked yourself why? Take Iran, for example. The more India engages with Tehran, the less support Pakistan receives. The same is true with Armenia. Stronger ties with Yerevan put pressure on Turkey. Every move India makes is like a calculated chess game, piece by piece, expanding its influence and tightening its grip on the board. And here's where it gets interesting. These aren't random gestures. Each alliance feeds into the next, creating a snowball effect. What begins as a simple trade deal can evolve into a defense agreement, then into military access, and eventually long-term influence. Slowly, India is surrounding its rivals not with weapons alone, but with friendships and trust. Something superpowers like the US often fail to achieve. But what happens if India's influence grows beyond America's? Remember, over 80% of the world's crude oil flows through the Indian Ocean. Whoever controls these waters doesn't just control trade, they control the global economy itself. They could, in theory, switch the world on or off. That is the kind of power nations fear most. And that's not even counting the rare minerals, the strategic choke points, and the critical trade routes buried in these waters. At this stage, threatening India with war would be suicidal. Even economic pressure like tariffs would be as useless as watering a plastic flower and hoping it will grow fruit. India's journey has come full circle, from immense wealth to colonial poverty, and now back to power. But this rise is not finished. In fact, it's accelerating. The more countries try to contain India, the more they reveal just how far its influence has spread. So here's the ultimate question. Will India rise high enough to surpass America and reshape the global order forever? Tell me what you think in the comments. Do you believe India can truly reach that point? And before we go, remember, just like India's rise, this channel grows with your support. If you subscribe to Caspian Insight, you're not just joining a community, you're helping us explore the hidden battles shaping tomorrow's world. As always, it's been an honor to sail with you across the Indian Ocean. This is Caspian Insight, signing off.